run to you, you lift me up. You give me strength with your love. I know I'm safe in your embrace. You are my rock, my hiding place. I run to you, oh God. I run to you, Where can I run? Where can I hide? When I need shelter from this life. Is there someone I can lean on? Someone who's loving and faithful. When storms of life come crashing down, I know where hope is found. I run to you, you lift me up. You give me strength with your love. I know I'm safe in your embrace. You are my rock, my hiding place. I run to you, oh God. Oh, where can I run? Where can I hide? When I need shelter, oh, you provide. There is someone I can lean on. Someone who's loving and faithful. I know where hope is found. I run to you, you lift me up. You give me strength with your love. I know I'm safe in your embrace. You are my rock, my hiding place. I run to you, you lift me up. You give me strength with your love. I know I'm safe in your embrace. You are my rock, my hiding place. I run to you, oh God. Oh God, I run to you. I'm safe in your arms. I am free, knowing that you love me. And safe in your arms, I am free, knowing that you love me. Oh, and safe in your arms, I am free, knowing that you love me. Oh, safe in your arms, I am free, knowing that you love me. I run to you, you lift me up. You give me strength with your love. I know I'm safe in your embrace. You are my rock, my hiding place. I run to you, you lift me up. You give me strength with your love. Oh, I know I'm safe in your embrace. You are my rock, my hiding. One more time. I run to you, you lift me up. Give me strength, oh, with your love. I know I'm safe in your embrace. You are my rock, my hiding place. I run to you, oh God, I run to you,
It's kind of been a lonely journey in many ways. My parents were from Vietnam. They were Buddhist. They were boat people that came over in 1975. They were sponsored by a tiny church in Porter, Indiana. So I grew up going to the church every Sunday. I think my parents went to church out of respect and gratitude for what that church did for our family. After we moved away from that little town, we stopped going to church. So then when I became an adolescent, I started to question everything. How can a man be born of a virgin? You know, that didn't sound, it's not logical. My husband Todd and I got married in 2005. Immediately, like right after we got married, Todd was drinking a lot. Even though we were newlyweds, we were on a shaky road. Things eventually got to a point where I had one foot out the door and I was ready to leave. And by the grace of God, some very close friends of his suggested that we start going to church. We went to church with some friends of ours, and when we got home we discussed it and we decided that wasn't the right church for us. And the next church we tried was Foundry. After attending the first service, which Godfrey was speaking that day, Todd immediately decided that he wanted to join Foundry. I really liked going to church because it reminded me of going to church when I was a little girl. It was just that comforting feeling of being around people, and you could just feel the love there. And throughout the years, I would continue to read books and continue to question things. Why can't I get it? Why don't I understand it? And then I decided that I wanted to start serving. I would deliver meals to homebound people that were ill. But something happened when I would go on those trips. And when I came back, I would feel different than I did when I left the house. I felt that I was close to God when I was serving. I felt love for the people that I was going to visit, and I felt their love for me. And that was good, but I still couldn't piece together why Jesus Christ had anything to do with it. I went into Godfrey's office and I said, Godfrey, it's been 6 years and I love coming to church. I love hearing what the pastors have to say because it applies to our lives, but I still don't get it. And he looked at me and he said, I can see God in you, and I know that it's going to happen for you. 3 weeks after that, Todd and I were going through some really, really challenging times. My children from a previous marriage, Darian and Nia, were put in some unsafe situations, both physically and emotionally, and Todd and I had to take legal action in order to keep them safe. I just felt so overwhelmed and stressed out about it. And I remember standing in the kitchen, talking to Todd, and we were discussing the details of the case, and we were talking about the judge that was assigned to hear our case. And he had looked up some information on her. She was an active member at Clear Lake Methodist Church, which was 1 block away from the house that I lived in for 7 years. She served on 2 ministries at her church in Clear Lake. One of them was the Interchange Freedom Initiative, which was the prison ministry that Todd volunteered on. And the other one was the meals ministry. Everything in my mind started to swim, and Todd was still talking to me, but everything kind of went out of focus, and I could hear him talking, but I didn't really understand what he was saying. And all of a sudden, an overwhelming peace came over me, and I felt this gentle pressure on the crown of my head, just like somebody was just resting their hands on my head and just kind of on my shoulders. And I felt so calm. I felt God. I can't explain to you what happened to me in the kitchen because I don't fully understand it, but I can't deny it. Faith is acknowledging that you don't have all the answers. and that you're trusting in God to take care of the things that you can't. I can tell you that since I've been on this journey with Christ, our marriage got better, and I can tell you that we're closer as a family now than we ever have been before. I'm a better mom, and I'm a better wife, and I feel like I'm a better person. Couldn't understand why it took me so long to get it, and that just wasn't, it seemed so unfair to me, and it felt like God wasn't listening to me. Because here I'm going to church every Sunday and I'm reading the Bible, and I felt like I was doing all the right things, and yet I still was not getting it, and I couldn't understand why God wouldn't answer me. But when He finally did, it was so clear and so undeniably true that I would never ever doubt it. I would never ever doubt it again.